Raised Rowdy.
All right, guys, welcome to the Raised Rowdy podcast. I'm Nicky T with a special co-host today, Mr. Sam Burgh.
That's right. What's up, everybody?
Sam, if you're not familiar, the host of the Rowdy Alternative podcast.
Yep.
And then we have the most people we've ever had on a podcast here, and we're still minus one from the band, Frigga Five. Thank you all so much for being
What's up?
here.
What up?
How you doing, guys?
All of them.
Yeah, all of them.
Every camera. A lot of them.
We should have more than three, but we're at three right now.
Working on it.
Well, thank you guys so much for hopping into town. Thanks for playing the event tonight, which at this time will already have happened. But
Right,
we're super excited to have y'all. Found out about you through one of our buddies, Will Smith, who is really into like the rock scene. Shared your music with us.
Yeah, he's been messaging it.
Wait, Will Smith as in?
Different Will. Not the one who
not
slapped
kidding,
Chris
Jimmy.
Rock.
All right, I was about to ask, but I didn't know he liked rock music.
No, he's actually a videographer in town, and was out on the road with like, Gavin Adcock for a while, and then Tyler Halverson.
Okay.
But he's also just like a huge rowdy kid
Sick.
who's just like the vibe.
Oh, yeah, man.
And
For
loves
sure.
music.
Yeah, he messaged me. I don't think he's coming to the show.
He's not in town.
He's
Yeah,
not
he's in Texas.
Right? Yeah.
He's actually shooting some stuff with Fox and Beat, I think.
Oh, cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
those are the homies.
Yeah, he's a pretty big A-lister, isn't he?
Will?
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
shooting movies and stuff.
All
Yeah,
the
the
time.
new Bad Boys just came out.
Yeah, he's already working on a fifth one.
Yeah, I remember when my buddy Matt told the other Raised Rowdy owner told me about Will Smith. I'm like, wait, his name's Will Smith.
Yeah, wait a second.
It's like a blessing and a curse. I feel like. you
It
know?
makes it memorable though.
Yeah.
But Will is kind of like helped us, as well as of course Sam covering the rock scene for years for us. Kind of like tune in on like kind of what's happening. So when he shared your guys' music, I of course loved it because I grew up in the like 2000s, and I feel like you guys are helping kind of bring a renaissance back to like that sound, but with like a fresh twist on it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Thank
yeah.
you, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
Shout out to Will Smith too.
Yeah.
Shout out
Appreciate
Will.
it, dude. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, why don't we go around and have you guys introduce yourselves so that if people are listening just on audio, they'll know whose voice is whose.
Yeah.
And also, what's your favorite color?
Yeah.
Of course. I'm Caleb Justice. I'm the lead singer of Frigga Five. And do we actually want to do favorite
No.
colors? Okay.
I was ready.
What's up,
I had
guys?
mine locked
Yeah.
and loaded.
Black.
My soul.
Yeah.
I'm Ryan Hall. I'm the drummer of Frigga Five.
I'm Jolly. I play fiddle for Frigga Five.
Electric fiddle.
The devil himself, man. I'm Alex. I play electric guitar for Frigga Five.
And who are we missing today? Just to give him credit. We're
Addison.
missing Addison. Yeah, he's our
Addison,
bass
man.
player. He's
Addison
the
Ray.
newest one to the group, but the best one. Right?
Yeah.
We just happen to be missing him.
Well, we're sorry for not having you here, Addison. We'll have you on the next pod.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For
Seven
sure,
people
for
that
sure.
time.
Yeah. He will be here tonight, hopefully, for our show.
Yeah.
Right?
Hopefully.
Well, we were talking a little bit before the pod about we've hosted events in town for a while, but the majority of them were like writers' rounds. So
Yeah.
writers' rounds are cool, and it's like a way that really people pay attention to the lyrics, but specifically in the rock scene,
Right.
the vibe of your songs when you sing them probably by yourself with a guitar is very different than your live show.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very different vibe. But when we played, we've played acoustic a couple times, and it's been really cool. I've like really enjoyed it. I'm like, we need to do a acoustic
Yeah.
album of all of our songs.
Yeah.
Some of them don't work as well. Like our singles that we have out, there are a lot of our heavier songs.
Yeah.
So we have some lighter stuff. I don't know. Have
Yep.
y'all heard that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
sir. Yeah.
Yeah, sent the track list. We listened through it. I sent it to Sam too, just so we
Cool.
kind of
Okay.
have
Cool.
that.
Cool.
Yeah, there's definitely different vibes throughout the record, which is
Yeah,
cool.
for sure,
You know,
for sure.
shows a mix of what it is as opposed to just, the sound that you're known for from the couple tracks you guys have already released.
Yeah.
It's the cool thing about it is that it's hard to put a label on it, and you don't need labels nowadays, right?
Yeah, of course
So
not.
there's like new metal influences. I feel like there's punk, there's metal, just in general. Like, is there a certain sound that you guys would like equate it to if you had to?
So it's funny. Every single member of this band has a different influence.
Right.
Like, Alex, what do you like to listen to, man?
I mean, like lately, I've been back and forth between like hardcore, industrial, and then just some of like the newer R&B and hip hop.
Right. And I grew up listening to Big Four thrash. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. When I was playing guitar, that's what I was learning everything.
Right. Yeah.
And then like, I don't even know what I would describe my influences as, but I've always been like kind of, when I grew up, I would fall asleep to Skrillex
Yeah.
a lot of the time, like just on Pandora, like I would fall asleep
Yeah.
to that. So I have a lot of like EDM in my roots a little bit, but As far as like drums, I bring a lot of different like weird genres to the table. Caleb though is like probably the main source of genres for what we play.
Yeah, I mean, just 90s and early 2000s shit, man. Like,
Yeah.
that's what
Smashing
we all kind of
Pumpkins.
grew up on it. And
Whenever
stuff.
like
Yeah.
I describe to people what we sound like, it used to be like I would just say Incubus, Red Hot Chili Peppers, that kind of stuff. But now I've definitely started just being like, we're heavily influenced by just 90s and early 2000s nostalgia.
We
Yeah.
sound like
Like-
Frigga Five. That's what we
Exactly.
That's
sound
kind of
Yeah,
what it
thank
is.
you.
It's, like,
Yeah.
it's hard to describe it, but I think that's the beauty of it and stuff. It's like, you know, we're all different, and I think that's what, I don't know, me personally, I think that's what makes us cool about
Yeah.
it. Is like
Yeah.
we're not
Yep.
directly ripping off somebody
No.
and stuff, and so yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with like following in somebody's footsteps specifically, but I
Yeah.
feel like with what we're doing, we all have so many different influences that it comes together to create this crazy like mash of sounds
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
a song-to-song basis. And I
Well,
think it's
you
a
look back
great,
at the
yeah.
90s, those bands, like what were their influences? They don't really sound, I mean, I guess you could hear some of their influences, but
Mhm.
like they made their own sound and stuff.
Yep.
And that's kind of like the goal for us is like, yes, we have influences from all these bands, but we want to make our own sound and like a new sound that like people can look back on and be like, oh yeah, that's the 20s, you know?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
it's
the
like
20s.
20s Frigga Five sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or whatever, you know?
I really I think that you've done a really good job at just kind of pushing us to like bring more of what we listen to into the band. Because I remember starting out, I was very like ready to be like, okay, we're doing kind of this punk, not really punk, but this, you know, Rage Against the Machine type stuff. And then just the more we played, like the more we like got accommodated with each other. Because Ryan and Caleb were friends before I joined the band, and then I just joined the band. And I was like, all right, let's do it. But then he would find out like I was in college doing classical guitar, and like it was just like, just bring that in. And I just tried to figure out ways that made it work. And at the end of the day, I was just like, without even realizing it in like my soloing or like the chords that I play, I just bring in stuff I've learned from classical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What really helped us develop our sound a lot was working with Josh Monroy from Studio One.
Yeah.
When we recorded our first single, was like that was a time when we all were able to really share what we brought to the table.
Yeah.
You know, because when we were playing live, you know, we just had like a really set thing to do, and we were just testing the sound out. But once we got in the studio, we got to sit down with it and like add our own flavor to everything that we had written so far. And
We
I
could
think-
also finally hear ourselves.
yeah,
Yeah,
You know,
definitely.
it's like hear what we're playing.
Yeah.
How did you guys get in touch with him, or how did that end up?
I believe he came to one of our shows at Old Smith's Bar. We had opened for Silly. Is
We
that
played
not what
there
it's
so
called?
many times.
Smith's
and
Old SOD shoot. Hey man, it's a very generic name, but we
Smith's Old
fucking love
Bar.
that place. You know what I mean?
Smith's Old
It's
Bar.
cool.
Yeah.
We had opened for Silly Goose, and he was originally there to see them, and I think he's probably more impressed with us. I think is what he told us.
All right, listen.
So, yeah, but hey, no dig at all. You know, they're talented, of course. They're signed and shit. But I don't know. He just decided to talk to us, and then he went up to Caleb, right?
Yeah, I don't even know if I met him. I think I talked to him, but he reached out to us on DM. And
Yeah.
he just kept bugging me, and I'm sure y'all get like DMs all the time, and sometimes you don't know if it's legit or not.
Oh,
and
yeah,
stuff.
always.
And I mean that's just like how it is nowadays. And so I didn't really know how legit he was or anything, and you know I was nice, and then he just kept reaching out and kept it's like 4 or 5 times, and I probably should have. I feel like a dick for not answering, or I did answer, but I kind of was like, okay. But then he was like, come to the studio and check it out. And so I did, and we just vibed really well. And then I was like, guys, you got to meet this guy and stuff. And recorded Restless Eyes with him. And since then, we were just like, okay, yeah.
And
this
it
is
started with
great.
Restless Eyes. Yeah, like
Yeah.
it's crazy to think that literally we went to record that and just like the day is like a demo. Like at the beginning, it was a demo essentially,
Right.
just to figure out if this was gonna work.
That whole song was recorded in one day, about 13 hours.
Yeah.
Restless
Cool.
Eyes. So, yeah.
It
13
sounded so
long
different
hours.
than when we played too. Like when we
Yeah.
played a song, like it just came out as a completed product, and I think it got a lot better.
Yeah, for
Like,
sure.
It was kind of bare bones before, but
Before then, it would like I mean, I look at Tool or any of the bands that have these videos of them playing long ago, demo versions
Oh,
of
yeah.
songs that I listen to now, and it's like it's totally different. And I don't even know if I would say it sounds like them. And I feel like that's kind of what happened is we started out with a song that kind of felt like a canvas, I guess. And then once we got to the studio, we really got to take our time and put into what we wanted. Because at the beginning, it's all about playing shows.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
So we were focused on having a song to play.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. it's one of those things where as a band you're gelling as people and you're getting to know each other.
Yeah.
And that is a big part of it. Something being here in Nashville, a lot of times you'll see an artist and they have a band, right? But sometimes it's their buddies that they've had forever, and that's great. Sometimes it's hired guns.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a mix of the two. But what you guys are talking about, where everybody brings something different to the table, you really see that in a band.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think is a reason why like bands are starting to kind of come back and bubble up, and why the rock scene's starting to have a little bit of a resurgence is because that craft is hard to get when you have session players that are great musicians. You know, maybe you're better at guitar than anyone else in most of the bands, but they played on everything. There's certain guys that can do that and have a creative direction for each thing. But when you guys are doing it and you're seeing how the audience is reacting to it, and you're bringing that into when you're recording it in the studio, I think it kind of builds layers to the music.
And the chemistry between us and everything too. It's just like that. Yeah, totally.
The fact that we've like made something from 5 people and feels like we put like equal effort from each one of us, and people just really dig it.
Yeah.
And it came from each and every one of us.
The real miracle is that we all relatively get along with each other.
Yeah.
'Cause I know some bandmates
Yeah,
are toxic as hell, you know what I mean? But
I think Jaw's too loud in my headphones, by the way. Might want to turn him down.
is this a lot better for you, man?
This is the loudest we've ever heard Jaw, by the way. Yeah.
They
Most he's ever
don't,
talked.
they don't let me talk, bro. I'm limited to 30 words this podcast, and I'm
Yeah.
already at like 25. So
You'll see why in a couple minutes. No, I'm just kidding.
No, but man, bands are a brotherhood, right?
sure.
Yeah.
If
Totally.
you are going to be on the road and you're gigging with these people, you're around them more than you're around anyone else.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
having a group that clicks is important.
Yeah, that came like when I realized that I grew up playing sports and stuff. I was trying to go to college to play basketball and everything, and once that didn't work out, like music was always a secondary thing for me. And so then when it didn't work out, I was like, okay, let me go into this music thing. And I realized when I was trying to do my solo stuff, I'm like, I'm missing something. And then I realized it was like camaraderie and having a team or whatever. And so that's why like starting this band was like so cool for me, because like I'm you know, I got 4 brothers to be a part of this, and you know, we go through all of this together because I didn't want to go through this shit by myself, you know.
Right.
It's there's like a lot of just crazy stuff that happens, and you want to have people with you along the way and to do it all with and stuff. So I'm very grateful for that experience.
Yeah, and going off that, like the Atlanta scene, just from whether it's like me just coming across it on social media or, you know, like word to mouth kind of stuff, the rock band, especially like the bands coming out of Atlanta seem like low key, like they're really slapping, like right now, like they're popping. How would you describe, like you were talking about the camaraderie aspect, how would you describe that, like in that region? Like is it like a dog eat dog kind of thing? Is it a family thing? Like how would you guys?
Depends on the band.
Yeah, it's really like it's interesting because as like connected as the music scene is, we're still like only on one part of it, because it's like I'll hear stories from like another part of the scene in different venues and shit, and it's like, whoa, because it's like
Atlanta's huge.
Yeah.
And there's just like,
and it's
so
like it
many
doesn't
scenes.
even stop at Atlanta. That's the crazy part, is that we've got venues, you know, we started in the north, so we've got like a bunch of venues that we're looking for around there, whether it's just like bars and stuff, like where me and Ryan and Caleb live, there's a place called Nofo Brew Co., which was, I remember like me and Ryan's dad were telling us to play there for a while, and it's like, I don't know if we want to focus on that right now.
That might not be the vibe that understands it.
Yeah.
They do have some dope bands that come through, and
Yeah.
like, it's like 5 minutes down the road from us.
Yeah.
But we don't know. There's not like a huge scene where we actually live in Cumming, Georgia. Shout out Cumming. But
And
so we didn't know if our music would be appreciated in Cumming, Georgia. It's a little bit more like older, you know.
Yeah.
And we just didn't know. But from
And-
the bands that have played there, they seem to like.
And
heavy
honestly,
stuff.
like, the brewery, it's like you were saying, it's for people around there. So it's just in Dawsonville and Forsyth, it's a very like specific kind of town. People like what they like.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, one of my coworkers, or 2 of my coworkers, are in another band that they're starting up, and they just played there. And it's kind of like they're chasing the same sort of thing, where they're looking for this kind of sound that's very reminiscent of their favorite bands from like the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
And I remember like listening to some of the demos, and these guys, they're like just turned seniors in high school. And it sounds really good. Like I'm like freaking out like, man, so I got nothing to worry about in terms of like passing on the torch, you know? Because like me and Ryan were in a band when we were younger, playing gigs when we were young. Point
Hopefully
is,
we're not passing on the torch yet.
yeah, no,
Yeah,
Let's enjoy it a
wait
little
like
bit,
a
you
couple
know?
decades maybe.
yeah, passing on the torch of like the local band
Oh,
of
right,
kids.
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So that's
Totally.
what I'm thinking. Because like I was saying, me and Ryan like grew up being the kids and being around other kid bands that were trying to make it big before we could even like drive to these shows. So they played that place, Bruco. Forgot what it was
Bruco.
called. Yeah,
Yeah.
Nofo Bruco.
Old Smith Bar.
And apparently it was awesome. Like apparently they said this place, you know, a bar, there's sit down tables and stuff. There's a booth in the middle of the room. They said that they like played their songs. They did some Audio Slave, some Alice in Chains and whatnot, and some originals. By the end of the set, like everyone in the room, it's a big rectangle or whatever, has moved from spacing out to the front half of the room is covered, back half is empty. And I'm like, y'all managed to pull that off at like Forsyth County at just a brewery where people go to shoot the shit with their friends.
Yeah.
Damn. So maybe we should go play there. I mean, I can walk there. It's that close to my house.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe we should go play there.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure you know at least 40 people out there. This man is like every single time we are out anywhere and coming. I'm not from the place, so like, I don't know. But like this man runs into somebody. It's a small ass town. You know a lot of people out there. We should be playing shit out there.
Yeah.
Might be a good spot for a hometown show, honestly.
Yeah. Honestly.
Yeah.
And then if it doesn't work, then don't go back. You know.
Right, yeah.
That's a cool thing too, honestly. Like, I mean, when I was young, it was the grunge scene was big, right? But all those bands in Seattle having buzz helped all the other bands.
Yeah, for sure.
You actually see that here in Nashville too. So like, if a songwriter or an artist gets a spark and gets signed, they're paying attention to everyone around them. So having other folks in the scene that have a kind of similar vibe isn't a bad thing, as long as your stuff's distinct. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
So like that's the key is as long as you're distinct, having other people in the scene that people are paying attention to, like someone that saw you guys play with Silly Goose and then was like, damn, y'all rock. You know? That is huge because having eyes on it makes it so everyone kind of can start having some of that.
I will say it, and this is in no way like trying to like be like, oh, we're good. I don't know if y'all have heard anybody, but I've because we've tried to look for at booking shows and stuff and trying to find similar bands to us. I don't like really know if of other bands that kind of like have our sound or
Not
At least in Atlanta.
sonically.
At least in
Yeah.
Atlanta right
And
now.
I don't mean
Yeah.
that in that like cocky
Yeah, they're just
way.
different.
I'm just saying, yeah,
Like, it's
like,
literally-
it's just so diverse in Atlanta.
I mean, there might be some out there we just haven't discovered.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
we've only
yeah,
played
yeah.
with a handful
That's
of
what I'm
bands
saying.
and everything.
Yeah.
And like
But-
regardless, every band we've played with, we've had a ton of fun with, and we've had good reception to the
Yeah.
crowds, which speaks for itself. Where it's like we've played in front of like death metal bands, we've played behind like indie pop bands, and every time it works.
Yeah, that's kind of like the
yeah.
beauty of it. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
it's so different that it
Yeah.
works.
Versatile.
It
For
like it's
sure.
a very good like transition for heavy to quiet or quiet to heavy, which is always good because we've had shows where the headliner's heavy as shit and then the opener is quiet as shit. So we
Yeah.
need something to kind of ease them into a more like aggressive energy style.
Yeah, that makes sense. In my head, just not knowing anything about the scene at all, like Silly Goose seems like a good fit because
Yeah.
you're talking about just time frame of when the stuff sonically sounds like is
Yeah.
the same genre.
Yeah, I
Fox
feel like that's
and
probably
V,
the closest.
too.
Yeah, Fox and V. too.
Again, they're probably a different scene, but they're in the rock scene
Yeah.
crossover.
Yeah.
I feel like you guys would fucking crush in Texas too.
Really?
Huh.
Oh yeah,
I
Texas
never
is
thought
good.
about going over
Texas
there.
got some sick bands. That
Yeah.
Texas,
Yeah.
like when you think of Texas, you think like country music, right?
Yeah.
sure.
It's
It's
not
not-
some
it's-
crazy
That's what I
shit
think about
going on.
Anything-
Nashville, honestly.
One of
That's
my
it.
Yeah.
But like it's anything but that right now. Co
Yeah.
Wetzel, Austin Meade, everyone who's popping in Texas right now, like
Yeah.
has
Dude.
some kind of
Yeah.
sound like you guys.
Yeah, it's
like
it's
that'd be
not
a
the
great
same,
area for
Yeah.
but it's adjacent.
Adjacent.
For sure,
Yeah.
for sure.
Even
So-
with like the more experimental stuff, one of my favorite bands right now came out in like 2020 from Texas, and they are just like off the wall different.
Well, you gotta say the name.
Yeah, it's Omerta. It's Omerta. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like kind of smaller. I'm trying to keep, but like I just remember seeing them come to the masquerade at some point, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" And then
Yeah.
finding out they're
Texan
in
mother-
Texas, and I'm like, "These guys do not look like they're from Texas. They do not sound like they're from Texas."
I mean, honestly, that's the crazy thing about rock is it's been segmented historically, right? Like you saw the grunge scene pop from one area, of course, New York and LA, right? But it's kind of spread all over today, and there's not a good rock radio. Right now,
No.
all the shit that's on rock radio is old songs,
Yeah,
For sure.
or it's bands that had old songs that are putting up new songs.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's I think that's a little bit of a hindrance to it.
When exactly did rock die?
I don't think it did.
Well, I mean, not like die, but fall off
Well,
this tab.
What I will say is, when in 1999,
Yeah.
I was 17. Rock music was like rap music is now, where the most famous people in pop music were that.
Right.
Right. Like, as big as Posty is right now, that's how big rock music artists were. Right.
He's like the rock star now.
yeah.
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 Zach Bryan is the rock star. Now.
Totally.
Taylor
Yeah.
Swift is the rock star. Now.
Country is having a thing right now. That's why you see all these people crossing into country. But there's heavy crossover with guys like Hardy playing legitimate rock music on the same album that he had country songs on, you know?
Yeah.
And then putting out a whole rock record. And he was produced by the same dudes that did Nickelback. Nickelback, you're seeing at fucking country festivals,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's not country music. But the country genre is so wide now that some of that shit filters into it.
Yeah.
But in terms of rock and grunge rock was the biggest thing. Kurt Cobain was MJ big in terms of like kids, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he crossed over to modern culture, right?
You know, it's crazy. I might get chastised for this, but we was just having a conversation about Nirvana, and
In the car on the way
yeah,
here.
yeah, and the controversial opinion I have is that they don't blow me away.
That's fine. I'm the same way.
Okay, good,
I feel like
good.
it's- I
Clip it.
understand.
Clip it.
I have a
Just
Nirvana
don't-
tattoo right here.
Am I off the podcast?
No. Here's what I'll tell you. Nirvana, when they came out, were so different than everything else that
Yeah,
they changed
that was.
the genre.
That's what I was
I
telling
had
him.
assumed that. Yeah.
They walked so that everybody else could run.
It's
Yeah.
the same thing as like the reason why fucking Eric Clapton doesn't sound like mind blowing,
Right.
because
Right.
it's been played to death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone else since then has tried to sound like
Maybe that's
Yeah.
why, because I was literally born right after he died,
Yeah.
and then I guess the music that I grew up listening to was kind of like emulating what he had
Some of
started.
it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it was their
So,
version of it for sure.
Yeah.
yeah.
But honestly, man, when you listen back to it, the stuff for me of Nirvana that hits the heaviest is like his Unplugged in New York record or
Yeah.
their Unplugged in New York record.
Yeah,
For sure.
That's
And his guitar playing, which isn't like, it's not like he's a fucking shredder.
Right.
He
as-
just seems like an
yeah.
average dude.
Yeah,
He just picked up
but-
the guitar one day and was like, "Fuck it."
The melodies, the guitar melodies, I'm like, this is creative.
It's like
Yeah.
musical.
Yeah.
It's like he has the brain to do that.
And like, no matter what he's playing, you can feel like that
Yeah.
he is putting his heart into it.
Yeah.
Like,
And
he
the
got
other thing with Kurt was he was the emo sex symbol. Like all
Yeah.
girls
Yeah.
wanted to sleep with Kurt.
Yep.
Yeah, that's sometimes all
They
it
were
takes.
kids and they didn't know. They were just like, oh my god, Kurt Cobain. Like
Yeah.
I knew
Right.
so many girls that were like my age. We were kids. They were like, oh, Kurt Cobain. He's so like it made culture go from the big jacked guy wasn't the thing then. It was
Yeah.
the skinny dude playing guitar that.
yeah. No more hair metal. That
Yeah.
was gone
Yeah,
with Kurt
yeah.
Cobain.
And so like he was part of that thing that helped change culture.
yeah.
Like, what do you think about Pearl Jam?
I love Pearl Jam, but you see, when you look at the instrumentals of the Pearl Jam, and then you like take it with Nirvana, it's just like Nirvana's so bare bones whenever I listen to it. I mean,
Yeah.
but that
That's
may
a
be
good
the
thing depending
yeah.
on who you ask.
Right. That may be the beauty of what they had.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's just-
look at the big four in grunge. Sorry to cut you off. You
That's
have
good.
Nirvana, Pearl Jam, and then who? Like Alice in Chains and
Soundgarden.
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 Like
yeah.
they're all sound different.
Right.
Yeah.
Same with like the big four you're talking about earlier.
And thrash, yeah,
It's
yeah.
like there's all different, but like they're all like the forefathers of that kind of sound.
Yeah,
For sure.
And
But looking back on it, it is different. Right?
Yeah, because
Yes.
like with the era before that, music was like so complicated. You know, there's like so many notes whenever like all of them are playing and everything, and then all of a sudden, whatever's popular like the next few years is just like 4 chords
yeah.
It's not
and
even
one
that.
drum beat. You know
It's
what I
like
mean?
literally in history, it's always been just anti-culture. Like it's always been whether the whole
Subverting
post
expectations.
Oh, that's a good
or
point.
whatever,
Yeah.
like post-rock, post-hardcore, all of this stuff. It's always been because I'm sick of hearing a ton of notes, or I'm sick of hearing no notes.
Right,
Like
right.
one of the most fascinating things that I learned that really got me into music history was like how controversial Eric Satie's Gymnopede #1, I think, was, just because of how simple it was. Because at the time, everyone was writing these whole overtures and like everything, and he was just like, "I'm just gonna write a song with a few chords,"
Yeah.
and people were like, "Blasphemy!"
Yeah.
It's like, damn.
Well, and dude, Kurt put out a song called "Rape Me" and they sent it to radio.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's,
I
anytime
I know
like,
that song.
second guess.
Crazy.
Yeah.
You know,
It's crazy. yeah.
Anytime I second guess like something was like maybe people don't want to hear this, I just pretty much always go back to that song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's counterculture becomes popular,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And right now that's still kind of like rap, I guess.
Mhm.
But rap's becoming so popular that I think that's kind of why country's kind of having a resurgence. And look at Zach Bryan, right? Zach Bryan has notes on the record that aren't real notes.
Yeah.
And he knows he's doing that,
Right.
right? And when he's playing to a crowd of 50,000 people, he'll strum something that isn't good on purpose. That's part of his thing.
Interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I know that.
counterculture.
Yeah.
You know, it's, I don't care what you say I have to do. I'm not going to go on radio tour. You know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that
yeah.
exists in that. And when I think rock was huge in grunge. And then coming out of grunge, you had like butt rock, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So you had like, and that's when it was like rap rock. Like,
Wait, define your butt rock. Let's get this
Funny
on
you
clip.
ask.
What bands are butt rock?
funny enough, we actually have an account that we run with Rage Rowdy. Brian Fraser runs it
Oh,
for
yeah,
us,
yeah.
called Butt Rock Night.
Oh yeah.
So we literally have events in town where we have a full band, and then each artist comes up and sings one song, and it's Creed, Nickelback, Hinder,
Theory of a Dead
Seether,
Man.
Theory of a Dead Man.
In my head, I
No
was
way.
thinking yacht rock because I was thinking boat rock,
Oh, yeah.
not butt rock.
I can talk yacht rock all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's honestly the events in town that we do of that are so funny because it's like country artists or like some rock singers,
Yeah.
and they're all just singing like one Limp Bizkit song with the backwards red hat. You know what I mean?
That's
And
hilarious.
it's but guys like Hardy are taking that POD harder, maybe Five Finger Death Punchy stuff,
Yeah.
and they're mixing it in with country now. So it's like it's here in this scene. And you're seeing guys from the rock scene that are like, oh, I fuck with Hardy, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I fuck with this guy. Like I fuck with Lakeview. You
Yeah.
know? So it's kind of neat to see that happening, because it is a fusion of all of that. But after butt rock, right? I would say when emo hit, emo was big.
Yeah.
But then post emo, it started to slow. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
So once emo fell out of these guys are like the heartthrobs, that's when I think it started to like taper off a little. Now metal was still metal.
Yeah, well, metal will always have its niche audience.
yes.
You know what I mean, it'll always
Yeah.
be
Part
supported
of
by
metal
hardcore.
is the
yeah.
underground.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. If it's too mainstream, people fucking hate it.
Right.
They
Yeah.
gatekeep the bands they like.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm like, I got to keep these guys at a sweet 20K.
Yeah. But realistically, if you think about it, pop music, just calling it pop means it's popular.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So when fucking Korn was popular, it was pop music.
yeah.
You know, it's weird to say that.
Yeah.
It's
But
like,
how it
especially
works.
growing up, like I was 2004. So like
Yeah.
growing up and like all pretty much rock is like came and gone almost. And it's just like all my favorite bands turned out to be bands from back then. So it's like in terms of live shows, I was either too late to the game, like Green Day. I wanted to see them so fucking bad.
Yeah.
And like the last time that I think I would have enjoyed seeing them, and like no shade to them or anything, but like I just remember being in 6th grade begging for like a ticket to go see him at the State Farm Arena. And I couldn't get it in time because they sold out. But I remember after that, like something happened where I was just like, I can't do the like.
The greatest hits tour.
Exactly.
Kind of shit.
Yeah, I can't do like of emulating what
nostalgia tour.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like
Legacy
I
X.
love seeing the videos of them and like Basket Case era and all that shit. But it's like it's great to grow up. Okay,
Yeah.
that's like what I'm getting at. And like there's a lot of bands out there that it's just like it's really hard to see them grow old.
Yeah.
You know.
And well, that's why you see when someone passes like Cobain and Joplin and and all the Hendrix and all those guys
Yeah.
because they never got old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You never got to see them get gray hair.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
And that's why and you never got to see them put out albums that you're like, this is okay.
Yeah,
That's-
exactly.
you
So
know.
they
Yeah.
just remain
That's like a
legends.
controversial thing that I've always thought is do you think Nirvana would still like put out good albums if he didn't die?
No.
Probably not. And I
And no,
think
yeah,
And
I
I don't
think
mean that in a
so.
bad way, but
No.
it's like one of those like, oh man, I hate even thinking about that.
and it's
You
part
know?
of the youth thing, like we were
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
talking about. And like look at going back to like the '60s, you have the Beatles and the Stones, right?
Mhm.
Beatles, I think it's a pretty objective that all their albums are good to great to fantastic, right?
Yeah.
The Stones are still going, and it's like, can you name
They're
the
still
last
going.
5-6 albums they put out?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean?
So like I think the thing is like just ending on a high note.
Yeah, it's literally for me the way that I've seen it is like this is kind of like I feel like the music scene or the music industry is just a gamble. Like literally you got to get out while you're still up, you know?
Or you keep making records because that's how you make money.
It's
That's
like I
true.
just don't want to get stuck on that is my fear because like
Yeah.
I always like I want to retire with a legacy, you know? I don't
Yeah.
want to retire on the last shitty record I put out.
Exactly.
Well, and that's honestly why you see a lot of folks that are artists or in bands skip to production or
Yep.
skip to management.
Mm-hmm.
So they can still be involved and not have that.
Yeah.
But if you're getting offers for $3 million to play a show, it's hard to turn them down.
I mean, yeah, that's I definitely have
It's
experienced
like
that, so.
when you look at people like Kurt Cobain or anybody who's been in the public eye and passed away tragically, it's like the image that you think of them is forever the image of them in their peak
Yes.
of their career, and that's never going to change because they didn't live past that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no
died-
further
they died a
images.
hero.
Yeah, and I mean it sucks ass, but like there are a lot of cases of artists and bands who just keep going and keep going and keep going, trying to make something as great as they once did, and just like and not really doing that. It might be great to them, but to a lot of people who really enjoyed the peak of their career, it's like this isn't really like.
Yeah.
It doesn't make me feel the same way it did when I
On
first
the
heard it.
offhand, though, there's plenty of bands doing the exact opposite that have a good 10 years and then like, all right, we're done. And then within the decade that they're done, they blow the fuck up.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's been happening a lot with some like 2000s just kind of
My bad.
grunge shoegaze type bands and
Yep.
stuff. Like especially Midwest emo as well. The
Oh my
amount of
God.
bands that I got into in high school and I'm like, they're already gone.
Yeah.
The Da Vinci Effect.
Dude,
Yeah.
it's funny because like when you think of like if you think to yourself, all right, or someone asks you like, all right, who's your favorite modern band? Like me, like with the bands I like was like in high school that were big. It's like my favorite like new band probably like My Chemical Romance, and then I'm like, hold the fuck up, like,
Over a
they're old
decade
now.
ago.
Like
Yeah.
2 decades.
yeah,
Yeah.
like I remember hearing like System of a Down on like a classic rock station. I'm like, are
Yeah.
you kidding me?
Oh,
Like, it's
wow.
crazy.
Oh my
See,
God.
that's
It's on there now.
that's still bad to us though. That's still like it's not classic rock.
Shoot.
Classic rock for us is still going to be the Beatles and
Oh, yeah.
Stones.
Can you name a band today that will be classic later on, post 2020?
Well,
In the rock scene or
Yes, yeah, in the rock scene. Is there anything that's
I mean, I don't know if this counts as the rock scene, but David Bowie. Like, I feel like it's almost.
I think he means like modern,
Like
like
current.
right
Of
now.
current.
Oh
right
yeah.
now.
Did you
Well,
say
I feel
David
like-
Bowie?
I feel like he's on the verge of becoming classic rock. Yeah.
I mean it is. He's classic.
I think
rock.
he's
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still feel like he had. Whatever.
I'm not saying classic rock sound. I'm just saying
Yeah.
like that will be remembered 50 years from now.
I don't know,
as
like,
a, as
the faces
a
you
like,
think of.
culture defining band.
Frigga Five,
Frigga Five.
nowadays.
yeah, Frigga Five. I mean, like what, like Greta Van Fleet, maybe.
Maybe
but
I just don't listen to enough music, man.
I don't know,
because I
like-
don't know any bands right now.
Like
that I can name
it's
on top of
it
my
is
head.
hard to say, and
there's-
like,
Yeah.
that's part of it.
But they're ripping classic rock.
They're
Yeah,
trying
there's
to-
a lot,
I
a lot
love
of
Greta Van
clones
Fleet.
out here,
Yeah.
you know.
I love you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bring us on tour.
That's that part of
Great
that
voice.
thing is breaking through cultural barrier.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So it's taking yourself from being a music act to being part of culture.
Yeah.
So I don't know, in the current rockscape,
Yeah.
because of we haven't seen the level of rock star like we saw in the 90s and 2000s
Yeah.
recently.
I feel like it's a time thing too.
It definitely is.
Yeah.
And it's counterculture, just like you guys
Mm-hmm.
are talking about. And honestly, I hope that we do. And it might not be someone that is already successful. It might be someone that gets successful in the next 5
Yeah.
years.
I don't think
You know?
rock's ready for that yet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's still bubbling back
Like
up.
we're still, yeah.
I mean, I feel like it's a hard genre to like stand out in.
It is.
you know,
Yeah,
because there's
it
just
is.
so much in the catalog
so many
that can be compared
so
to.
large, so many subcategories of it,
Right.
and like you
Especially-
only have like the radio rock, that casual radio listeners would even hear.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Which, like, with this age of streaming, I mean, that certainly helps. Like, like, what do you guys, like, with the age of streaming and the troubles with, like, artists making money and everything on that, do you guys have a certain, like, thought on how do you guys deal with that whole
I would
dilemma?
like to speak on that.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm like, well, this is like slightly off topic, but me and my dad are constantly fighting. Not fighting, but like just talking about whether or not AI is good for creativity. I think not. I think it could be good for good things, but whatever. But in terms of like, oh my god, I lost the question.
Like,
Yeah.
like the age of streaming and stuff. Like
Oh
what-
yeah. So I think it's great for blending genres. That's like been my takeaway, is that the whole reason why we've been able to have such vast music tastes and stuff is because we're all looking in different areas.
Yeah.
Like it is so much easier to get a hold of music just from different nations.
Yeah.
Like the fact that I can just look at my phone and pull up Mongolian throat singing.
Yep.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
I think that's a big part of it too. Is exploration is easy.
Mm-hmm.
Before, like when I was young, the records that were at the record store, some of the bands I'd know the names of, some I wouldn't. Sometimes I'd buy a CD based off how cool the record looked or
Yeah.
one song.
I like doing that still.
Yeah. But it's now you can go down a rabbit hole on Spotify of I listened to Frigga Five, what's it serving me up?
As well
Yeah.
as like
Right.
being able to look up the history so fast.
Yes.
Like I loved going down a rabbit hole of like the history of Queens of the Stone Age and Joshua
Yeah.
Homme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like fascinating. And then through that you find all these other bands that like, oh, they work with these guys. I wonder if I like them, and
Eagles
that
of
kind of
death
stuff.
metal.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Eagles of Death Metal, them Crooked Vultures.
Yeah.
Joshua Homme is like a unit.
I have
Underrated too.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
have
Even today.
2 Queens of the Stone Age posters at my house on the wall.
Yeah,
Let's
I've got
go.
Like
Big
Clockwork
shout
on
out.
record. And it's
Yeah.
like that album. I think that's been probably like one of my top 5 since I was in 6th grade.
Sick.
Just and it as well as guitar playing, he totally like got me. I want to be weird.
Yeah. Well, that's
Yeah.
what I'm not a musician, right? Like I'm a guy that loves music.
Mm-hmm.
But I couldn't explain why I liked Queens of the Stone Age so much. And some of my buddies that are really great musicians were like, "Well, here's what is happening," and I still don't even remember it. But
Yeah.
it's super interesting because Josh's voice also is distinct as fuck.
Yeah, and
You know it's
objectively,
him.
a lot of people could say that it's a bad voice.
Yeah.
You know, because he's like a fucking cigarette smoking, bike riding cowboy. You know.
That has a falsetto.
Yeah,
You know, it's
exactly.
weird.
He like I always listen to him, and I just feel like he's this like just dude in a tuxedo, like drunkenly waltzing around a ballroom with his bike out front.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he's just one unique dude, and I think that's the name of the game.
It really is.
And on the topic with like streaming as well as just kind of the rock scene or the music scene of today, I feel like the difficulty with putting out more rock is because in the past it's been on a like music theory level, it's been set up so that it's very simple. It's very straightforward. You've got these parts, you've got these progressions, make a song with it. It's just kind of like drag and drop a few things. So, and whenever things go outside of that, it's up in the air whether or not people like it, which of course is a very oversimplification of it, but there are plenty of bands out there that take the formula from the 90s and don't do anything to it, which is fine. You make a good song, but you're not going to make something that sticks out. You know, you
Yeah.
got to add something to it.
Yeah.
Identity.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's part of it too. And when you're talking about rock stars and you're talking about the guys that you remember, it's distinct vocals, right? It's a distinct sound, and then look, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like
Visual identity is everything.
yes, yeah. We talk about that a good bit. Actually, right before we were in here, we did a little video clip about can you dress as this artist for Halloween, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good point. Holy
It's
shit.
really that's how you know you crossed from music to cultural.
Yeah.
When someone's dressing as Luke Combs at his show, which everybody does, you know,
Yes.
Yeah.
all the big bearded guys are wearing
Yeah.
the PFG and the baseball cap,
Or
right?
the backwards red cap at a Limp Bizkit
Yes.
show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the simple stuff too. It's those like it's the fact that like Limp Bizkit made those like cargo shorts and then just like a button-up shirt and the backwards hat and turned that into his costume.
Yes.
Like how did you make something from I mean, let alone it's you got a button-up cargo shorts and a backwards hat like
Yeah.
and he was just like fuck it, this is it.
Yep.
Yep. And it's a few pieces. If you need 20 things to make you realize what's happening, it's probably
Yeah.
too much.
Yeah.
Like that backwards hat, you throw a red backwards hat on anyone right now, and you know who Biscuit was. You're like, oh, you know,
Yeah.
There's two.
yeah, it's iconic though. You know, that's how you know it's iconic. That's like even in the country genre, like we were talking about that, right? So it's like Hardy's glasses, right? You know, Ella Langley now is having like a moment in country music. She cut the bangs and it started working. Lainey Wilson, her bell bottoms, right? In rock music, it's
Yeah, what is it in rock?
I mean,
Well,
for glam,
I mean, Kiedis and the boys all being fucking shirtless on
Yeah.
stage.
Yeah,
right?
that's real.
Like, sometimes more than shirtless.
Yeah,
but,
like
you
that
know,
would be
that was their thing.
that could
Two
be like
socks.
the 5-finger death punch costume
Yeah.
for a Halloween party is pull up socks.
Yeah. I mean, think about Kiss.
Oh
Yeah,
Right?
Kiss.
That is the
That's
far
still-
version of
Yeah,
it. you know?
GNR.
The fun conversation
Guns N' Roses.
is figuring out what's the new thing. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
what when y'all are talking about. I'm like, damn, what are we doing? Or like, how could we do it? But I think if you try to force something,
It'll come off gimmicky.
yeah,
Yeah.
it needs to be natural.
And
Well,
we
there's-
definitely all have our own shit going on in terms of style. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like molding into each other.
Well, and you guys are still young.
Yeah,
you know,
that's true,
You
for
still
sure.
got time to
Figure
figure
out.
that
Yeah.
out.
Our
Our
honestly.
frontal lobes don't fully develop till we're 26.
The outfits
bad
are-
news for me then.
The outfits I wore last year on stage versus right now have like changed so much.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure out like what I.
This man wore a red bandana to a show in downtown Atlanta.
No,
Fucking
it was not
insane.
just a red
Yeah,
bandana.
he
He
was
almost
in a
went
red
on
tank
stage.
top too, man.
Yeah, dude.
Red,
We can cut this out. It wasn't on purpose. I was being authentic. Okay?
No, man, and that's fine. But like honestly, part of the thing is, and what I talk about when I'm talking to country artists and stuff is I was like, what makes you you? And then imagine your fucking knob on your amp is at a 6 of what makes you you. Turn that to an 8. What's that
Yeah.
look like? Right?
And
And
like-
that's how it's kind of like almost a slightly over exaggerated
Yeah.
version of yourself is what makes it not. You don't look like a normal dude anymore that I'd be buddies with. You look
Right.
like a fucking rock star.
For sure,
Right?
for sure.
Like that's the thing, in my opinion.
Especially with that, like Caleb's definitely been talking to me more and more about like style and stuff because I started out, I was very kind of like, I wasn't quite back in the music scene yet.
you wear
so I-
sweatpants to a show.
yeah,
A few times actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, more than a few.
Yeah, I would wear sweatpants and then just like a comfy shirt,
Yeah.
and I would like literally cheap Adidas,
Yeah.
like $90.
It was
Adidas
like
or
what
some
he
shit.
went to bed in and woke
Yeah,
up and he was
like-
just like, I'm
But
coming
honestly,
straight
that's
in.
the most rock and roll
I feel
thing
like
of
that
all.
probably
you know?
happened.
Did you
several
wear
times.
slippers to a show?
I did in Dart. I like
Our previous band. that we
yeah.
were in.
But what I'll tell you is, if your thing is oversized T-shirt that you'd wear to bed in sweatpants, go fucking over the top on it.
Yeah.
Right?
And
Wear
the
like
thing-
sweatpants that are
Wear
3 sizes
nightcaps.
too big.
Yeah.
with
You know
me
what I
is
mean?
I was like
No.
too kind of one foot in the door because like
Yeah.
sometimes I'd be like, okay, I'll bring out the Converse for this, and then I'll be like these flannel Converse with the baggy ass sweatpants, and
Yeah.
it's like, what are you doing, man?
Well, that's one of the things that is a part of the industry that you don't think about is if y'all are all wearing fucking Adidas tennis shoes, you might be able to get Adidas to pay you some money.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Think about
Corn
that.
did it with
Yeah,
the,
exactly.
with the sweat,
Yeah,
yeah,
finally.
track pants.
I mean,
yeah.
shit, they called the song Adidas and it was done.
Yeah. But dude, they had such a hard time working with that. They actually worked with Puma for a while because
Oh,
they
really?
repped Adidas so much that Puma's like, let's steal them.
That's actually genius.
Yeah. But it's like that stuff's all marketing, right? It's all branding. And you're branding your band. Like one of the things, I worked at a record label for a year and a half here in town, which is weird but cool, you know?
Yeah.
One of the things they talk about is like brand identity. So when they bring an artist in, they try to build out the framework of like, who are you? They don't want to tell you who you are. They want you to tell them who you are. And then they work in that framework, right? So like as a band, of course, it's always constantly going to be changing, and it's 5 people's framework, not just one,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Which is powerful, you know. But it having something that is cohesive looking can help too. It just depends on the audience, you know. Just like you would not wear a blue shirt, a navy blue shirt, and a black hat, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you guys are a band, you want to make sure your shit matches.
Right.
You know
Well,
what I
that's
mean?
the shit because I feel like I've seen a band where someone pulled up in like their work uniform and proceeded to play the heaviest shit I've ever seen.
That's
Yeah.
And there's a
actually
niche
pretty
for that.
awesome.
There's a
Yeah,
niche for that.
exactly.
Yeah, it can
It's
happen.
fucking awesome when it works, but it's like
Yeah.
you're saying, you gotta like sink
Commit.
into it.
Yeah.
Well, for me, even like when I moved to town, hosting events, I would wear a work shirt that said "Raise Rowdy" on the one side and Nicky T on the other, right? And that was what I wore every time I hosted. I didn't wear that shit every day of the week,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
But when you came to the event, you knew that was my thing, and it was like kind of a bit, but not really. You know, it just like made it easy
It's
for
your
me to know what to
uniform when
wear
you're at
too.
work.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like,
Like, we need
this is
People
me
know who
working.
you are.
You know,
Yeah.
I was like, I'm wearing work gear because this is me working.
Yeah.
And then I came to a point where I'm like, I can't do this anymore because too many people were bothering me.
You wore that to Big Loud?
Oh no.
Oh.
Yeah, when I was hosting.
When you're
events.
okay.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
missed that part. I
Yeah,
was about
yeah.
to say, wow, that's a
No, yeah, it's
monster
bold.
move.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not like the guy from Apple wearing the same black turtleneck every day.
Yeah.
But
That's another fear is like if you like fall into the same
Mm-hmm.
style over and over again.
but sometimes that's powerful. You
Yeah.
know, like again, we're in the country scene here because Nashville, but Lainey Wilson with the bell bottoms. Every girl that goes to a Lainey Wilson show has bell bottoms on now.
Yeah.
All the kids, you know, and
Shout
that
out
was-
Lainey Wilson.
Yeah, we love you, Lainey.
Yeah.
She's been on the pod before actually. So
We'll go on tour with you.
yeah, but
Hell of a mix.
But it's when she had her moment was when she branded herself Bell Bottom Country, and then that led to like the crossover into mainstream Yellowstone,
Yeah.
right? It takes stuff like that.
Even like the rise of literally my friend Chance, he's been going on and on for like the past few months about MySpace emo core or metalcore, and
Yeah.
it's like, how did we get to a point where a genre has become titled MySpace metalcore?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like thinking back, you know, the Baroque era and Romantic and all that, and now it's become MySpace emo, butt rock, like
It's wild, but music is cultural.
yeah.
It just as a thing. It is a great equalizer. It brings people together.
And we give it meaning.
Yes. And you guys, I'm sure, see that at your shows, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There are folks that come to your shows and feel together more than they feel apart because of what you guys are doing on stage.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that is the great part about music.
And like when it comes to your guys' live show, like as the band, how would you guys describe that?
Chaos. Control chaos. So it's not
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
chaos. It's control chaos.
Organized even.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it like too crazy.
Isn't that?
Well, it's because you're the one like holding it together most of the time.
I'm also the one inciting the mosh pits and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like fun.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
like it's not like crazy like the hardcore shows.
It's
Even
a lot
though
of-
those
it's pure
hardcore
energy,
shows
man.
look
Even
so
though
much fun.
We've definitely had some shows where I'm like, these people are throwing down, and I'm like, dog, we're singing a song about like fucking Headstrong, where it's just a classic love song, and people are ready to like throw elbows and shit.
Yeah.
Like 1018 show is like that.
Yeah.
People were like fucking running around on gravel and
It really
10-18
depends
was
on
fun.
who we're playing in front of. Like we've had shows where everybody is just standing there and enjoying the music, and then we've had shows where like they could care less what we're playing. They just want to
and sometimes like that's just how they show appreciation. At
Yeah.
a hardcore show, they're gonna throw down. You know, at like if we were to play like Audio Tree or something or a Tiny Desk, people are gonna sit down.
Yeah.
And that's fine. We just gotta like the one thing I think should be clear is like we gotta know our setting.
Yeah. I would say we're like fun though. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's like you're not gonna get your like lip busted if you come to one
Yeah.
of our shows, but like you're gonna jump around and wear some stuff you can move around in. And
Hopefully
like,
you'll get a busted lip.
no.
Hopefully.
So you guys are talking about the live show. Of course, you're playing your originals, and we'll get to the album here right after this. But
Yeah.
what are some of the songs that you guys are playing that are covers? You know, because
What covers? What?
yeah,
What are
if
those?
you're
I ain't
doing
heard
any
those.
covers in a longer set, are you guys doing that or no?
We've done a few in the past.
we've had some
We've done
before.
a few when we've had like a 3-hour set.
Yeah.
We'll do like 4 cover, but we really try to push. It's mainly me. I don't know if y'all feel this way or if
No.
you feel this way.
I like
now.
doing
No,
a cover.
I
every
feel
now and
that
then.
way.
I love doing a cover.
I hate
I've
doing
really
covers.
pushed against doing covers, and
Yeah.
it's not that I don't like it. Doing covers, it's fun, but I just believe in our music so much,
Yeah.
and like that's what I want to push. I don't want to play a big song and then everybody just remembers us for playing that big song.
Yeah.
And that could be to our downfall. Like that idea.
No, there's
not at
definitely
all.
power to that too. It just depends how many long a set you're playing.
Yeah.
I also
I just-
I gotta say that some of my favorite moments with bands, like no matter how big they are, is when they cover shit from other bands. And it's like there's definitely a limit. I don't want to be a cover
Yeah,
band,
right.
But for instance, like we have a Halloween party that we're gonna play, and like we want to play some covers for that. And
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think out of the box, like what people are gonna expect us to play like My Own Summer or Incubus or like all the just like typical shit. And so I'm like, okay, what if we just make a Frigga Five version of Pony by Genuine? Or
Yeah.
Frigga
I
Five
think
of like,
I think that's what we need.
That's
to
what I
do.
was gonna say
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
because
It's about making it your
The
own.
problem is
Creative
playing
expression.
covers that
Yeah.
are too similar to us. 'Cause
I don't want to
then-
play inside the
Yeah.
genre. I want to do like In Excess. I want to do Genuine. I want to do like there
Maroon
was one
5.
other- Maroon 5. Yeah.
I really want to do a Hannah Montana song. And
Dude, fuck you.
They've been.
Off the
This is what they
table.
tell me every single time. But Hannah Montana's fire. Those first
It
two
is.
albums,
Selena
is so
Gomez,
good. Yeah, it's so
too.
catchy.
You do-
If we
First two
turn that
albums.
into a friggin'
I mean,
I have them
honestly,
on
I didn't know there
vinyl.
were albums.
that's
Bro, 1 of 200 limited edition.
yeah. But no, that's kind of why I asked that question, because some people like to do stuff that's in genre and like here's kind of where we came from, right?
Yeah.
And other people are like, here's our version of this song that
Yeah.
you probably know, but you don't know this version of it.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
my
Mute.
my mindset behind it all was it's like driving somebody else's car.
Yeah.
And like if you're driving somebody else's car, you're like a little more careful with it, and you're not doing all the stuff you would in your own car. And every time I've always done covers myself, I'm like, I can't fully express myself. I feel like I have to serve the song or whatever. And that was kind of like my mindset in doing covers. But if we do one that's different than ours, like a
Yeah.
reimagine, then it's like, okay, we're making our own car.
Especially
you
with
know?
our music, I feel like we can literally make anything work. We could pull a fucking classical song out of
Yeah.
our ass and somehow be like, oh shit, that's Moonlight Sonata.
Yeah.
And to that too, it's like if we were to reimagine like a Deftones song, that we wouldn't be really doing much.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's kind of about like finding pockets of music that are so far outside of our niche,
Yeah.
and taking that and turning it into like a Frigga Five
love
moment.
that.
Like
Yeah.
where people are like, oh shit, they're playing this.
Yeah.
Like me and Ryan's first band, we used to cover Feeling Good, but we did the version by Muse because we fucking love that version over Michael Bublé or
Right.
Whatever the hell that
I
guy's
think
name
a
is.
great example is Faith by Limp Bizkit.
Yeah.
That's
Like,
the
I didn't even,
example.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was not a Limp Bizkit song.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I kept listening to it, and then like a week later, I'm like, Dad, have you heard this song?
Yeah.
And he's like, Yeah, that was like a pop song.
George Michael, yeah.
George Michael. Yeah, and I was like, What?
But
Yeah.
at that time, it was so crazy. That's what Pop Biscuit
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
It was
Like
so
how'd they get
crazy.
the rights? How did like the PR team go? Yeah, this is good. Let's do it.
Yeah, bro, that's not how it works. They just did
Yeah,
it,
wait. So
probably.
what happened? What was the story?
Yeah.
Like,
But I heard that song and I was like, what is this sound of this song that I remember hearing my parents listen to? Right? So it'd be like if you did a Biscuit song now and played it like it was classical music,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. We should
It
do
was
it-
just so absurdly
we
different.
should do a
Yeah.
Chapel Roan
Or like
song.
five
Yeah.
Cent
Yeah.
Punch with Bad Company.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. It's one of those things where that's kind of what put Biscuit on the scene
Yeah.
nationally.
Yeah.
Was that they did that song that was recognizable and it wasn't how you thought it was going to go.
Yeah.
You know?
There's also some kind of like there's criticism in that too, and there's like sides that become present from like bands that do covers of way different genres. It's like there's a side that really loves it, and of course there's a side that kind of hates it.
Yeah.
And I would prefer that to just doing a cover of a song that's within our genre and everybody loving it.
Yeah.
Because when you have people like fighting for your music, that's way different than people like being like, oh yeah, they did a cover of that one song that's in their genre. Like it's pretty cool.
Sometimes when artists do versions of their own, like for different songs, they can get into like some cringe territory. So,
Yes.
you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
That's true,
I
for sure.
definitely see some,
The YouTube covers.
yeah, man, with the screamo versions of rap songs and
That shit
stuff
can
like
get
that.
rough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Like-
just, yeah.
But if they pull it off, sometimes it becomes their song. And
Yeah.
you see,
Yeah.
like,
And it's their identity.
Like Hound Dog, that's not an Elvis song.
Yeah.
Like that wasn't
Yeah.
Elvis didn't write that.
Right,
Like,
right,
like
right.
well, that's the case with most of Elvis's songs. But like they're all his songs, you know.
Yeah.
And some people probably really, really fuck with the screamo covers of rap songs too.
yeah.
I
Like,
wouldn't
there's a-
ever
I
want to
knew
meet
a
them in my
dude.
life.
Yeah, probably not. But the point I'm trying to make is just like people. There's an audience for it for
Right.
sure.
I
Hey.
knew a guy that like seriously only listened to like metal covers. Of, like he would be like, "Yeah, this song really speaks to me," and pulls up "In the Air Tonight" like metal cover. I'm like, "The fuck are you doing, bro?"
That's true, man. It is a weird thing. And the internet's made it super fucking weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it
100%.
used to just be your buddy playing it for you.
I
on
will
guitar.
say, dude, I think one of the greatest examples of the internet like doing a 180 was I'm gonna get like Ryan's gonna fucking kill me for talking about this, but it's the Living Tombstone, Five Nights at Freddy's, that song, me and Ryan were kids when we heard it, and it's this stupid like video game song. And recently the 10th anniversary of that song came out, and the original creator of this fan song got a fucking orchestra and an opera singer to do an operatic version of this electronic
Like
fucking
8-bit.
yeah, and it was crazy. It was incredible.
What people don't know is 8-bit songs and video games and stuff like that are actually masterpieces when you put real instruments to
Yeah.
it.
Like
I
I remember listening to Polyphia and telling Ryan like,
This is Mario Kart.
yeah,
on
literally
crack.
just speed up Mario.
Rainbow
music.
Road.
Do you know who Polyphia is?
I don't actually.
Okay.
Oh,
They just
it's-
shred
Shout out
music
to
for
Polyphia.
every
We'll go on tour
instrument.
with you.
Yeah.
You just say that for every single band.
every
you mention.
mention,
Just
we'll
in
go on tour.
case.
Yeah, it's that's one of the things, man. Like the melody sticks in your head, right? Or the hook will stick in your head, you know. So if you can do that in a different way, it can be your song, right?
Yeah.
I mean, even like Nirvana covered songs that were bands that they loved. He just sounded so different when he did it, you know.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing
Sometimes-
is making sure it sounds different.
Yeah.
you
And
know?
sometimes just like a quick 20-second at a live show for fun. Like
Yeah.
I love it when fucking Green Day does it. There were a few bands that like covered March of the Pigs, and I'm like, out of nowhere, because these bands like it's never Nine Inch Nails type bands.
Yeah.
It's like I think Green Day was one of them that covered March of the Pigs, and I'm like, the fuck are they doing?
Yeah.
Or one of the things you'll hear is like bands playing a riff from a song
Yeah.
that is super iconic in between two songs,
Yeah.
just to fuck with you.
Yeah.
Like you think they're gonna
Yeah.
play something
Like
like
if
that,
someone
but
plays
you don't at
Schism.
all.
Yeah, it's
I
always
used
like
to
a
do
Tool
that.
song.
Yeah, I used to do that when I would play bass.
You'll hear that intricate song work of something iconic, and you're like, ah, and then
Yeah.
of course they're not doing it, you know.
Yeah.
like,
And then Polyphia did at the show that we saw them once. They did that one. I think it was George Michael, Careless Whisper.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They're like
Yeah.
a progressive
Yeah.
metal trap.
And they just
I
broke
don't
into
know.
that on guitar.
Yeah.
And people are like, "Wait, that's
Yeah.
Careless Whisper."
Alex will do like the McDonald's jingle
Yeah.
every now and then.
I'll just try and fit it
Dun-dun-dun-dun.
in. Yeah. That's the only reason I learned music theory is to make it so that you're like, "Wait,
Wait a minute. Did he just? Yeah.
like, is that part of the song or?"
Right. Super cool. Well, I guess we should probably talk about the new record.
I'd say so.
I
Yeah,
guess
man.
so. We don't really have to if
Yeah,
you don't
I
want to.
really
don't. No,
honestly.
let's do it.
Honestly, I think we're gonna push it back a few years.
Yeah. It's never coming out.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, this conversation has been super sick because Kurt and I and Sam and I will have conversations like this, but never with this many people.
Yeah.
Right.
And never with a lot of other people that are into the same kind of thing. So it's super cool.
Hell yeah, man.
But we want to talk about the new music too.
Mm.
'Cause
Yeah.
we love the record. Tell us everybody when it's dropping.
October 11th.
October
So
11th.
October 11th.
Machine Man,
October
October 11th.
Machine Man on October 11th.
9-song project, right?
Yep.
So it has some of the older songs that you guys have had out for a while, and then you're adding new songs.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think it would be cool if we go around each of you and talk about like a song that you really love from the project
Okay. Yeah.
and why. So
Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah.
Start it off.
All right, I gotta like.
I have to look at the track list. Hold on.
yeah. Okay, so this is kind of hard because I like if you want me to choose between the ones that are out or the ones that aren't out because it's
yeah, you can even
Well,
hit one of each.
this will
Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
be out by the
On
time
the
the
machine.
album's
yeah.
out.
Okay, so for me, it's a really hard draw between Goodbye and Step Back, just because those songs to me are the most fun to listen to as well as play. So like
Yeah.
when I'm up there and I'm playing shit, I get inspired to do these little like embellishments and stuff because I'm like, this song is fun. I want to do more with it. And it's like, even it's recorded, it's done, but at live shows, I'll always try and spice up the chords some or just add in some little show off at the end.
Yeah.
And with Goodbye in specific, I remember being in the studio and like we were recording that breakdown, and I was just like, I can't remember what y'all got me in the studio to record backup vocals for the chorus and everything, and then Josh was like, "Do you want to do anything in the breakdown?" And I was like, "I don't know." And then y'all were just like, "Do some hard vocals," and I'm like, "What?" Because like in our old band I did hard vocals, and like growing up, people knew I could do hard vocals just because I would
I don't have
dick
the hardest
around.
voice either. So yeah, he's definitely like the scream guy.
But like I just remember getting in there and just kind of like letting loose, and they're like, "What the fuck, bro? Like, why have you been hiding this?" So now we're just trying to like do more of it and just do more of the weird shit, and that's kind of like what kicked off pushing me to be more weird about the music.
Yeah.
Because like that ended up like making one of the most fun moments of the set, you know, because I just love fucking like letting loose and doing some hard metal shit.
Yeah.
So I guess musically, Goodbye would probably be my favorite song too, man. Goodbye is like lightning in a bottle.
He's
Yeah,
got that lead line on there.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
written like that too. We
Yeah.
so Ja didn't make it to that practice that we had, like worked out the song, and so
Yeah.
then Ja came the next practice. And we're
And-
like, dude, we gotta show you this new
For
song.
sure.
We just
And
wrote.
then that next practice, I walk in the room and they show me this song, and I'm just like instantly in my head, like I know exactly when needs to go in
Yeah,
here.
I have it on a
And then
voice
there
memo.
you have the
can hear him, he
intro.
goes, oh, I know what I'm gonna do on this.
Yeah.
Immediately rips that.
And like,
Yeah.
I think the funniest part about that song is that the verse guitar line, probably the most like complicated guitar line we have on any song right now, was written by Ryan, our drummer.
Wait, what part?
Well, let me get one thing straight. Let me get one
Oh, the
thing straight.
verse, the
Yeah.
verse of Goodbye. Yeah, I
Ryan,
wrote
the
that.
drummer, is better at every instrument, including singing, than the rest of the band. So
I'm all right. I'm all right.
Yeah, we're
shut the fuck up, Ryan.
Josh, actually, our producer, he's said previously that like, I'm way better at guitar than I am at drums, and I kind of like lack on drums a little bit as far as timing goes, because we practice every Thursday, right? And I don't really practice drums outside of that. So when I come to practice, we play the songs, and that's like all I get for like my practice, pretty
You
much.
haven't had like a kit properly set up at the house
Yeah,
since,
no.
like since I was in like 8th grade.
So I take pride. I'm also a solo artist, and I make my own music, and I sing and play guitar on it. So that's kind of like my bread and butter. Drums I've been playing since I was 10. So I've just had that in my blood. It's just kind of like what I do.
Yeah.
Favorite song.
Yeah. Okay.
Wait, did you have
yeah.
more?
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Job
I'll-
finish. Sorry.
Okay, yeah.
Well, I said Goodbye, but it's not my favorite song to play live. Favorite song to play live is not coming out on this album, unfortunately. Yeah, but y'all look out for Liar on the next one. And tonight, man, because,
Hell yeah.
We'll
we
play it
getting,
tonight.
we getting motherfuckers moving.
Yeah.
But-
That's one of our problems. One of the problems that we're having is we just keep writing new songs and we just
Great
love
problem.
them.
Yeah.
And we're like, well, we gotta play these live because these are gonna be
Yeah.
sick. And then like our first album hasn't even come out yet.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
played probably like 6 or 7 of our songs that aren't even on this record.
I
that
feel
we're
like some sets we genuinely had like maybe 2 songs from the record.
Yeah.
Just because we had short time and we had a new song we wanted to test out.
Yeah.
We've got like 2 or 3 right now. We've got more than 2 or 3 that
Mhm.
just haven't been played in a live setting, and it is really fucking hard to not be like.
we have a
"Let's
whole
just try it
EP
out."
that we're gonna go record that we've all played live.
Yeah.
You know, we're like we always play those. So it's kind of we're at this point now where it's kind of weird where we're not really playing the album that we should be
Yeah.
promoting.
Yeah.
What I'm telling you is that this is common
yeah.
Okay.
in every genre too. It's same thing in country.
Yeah.
People are like, wait to hear the next shit I got. You know,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
always
yeah.
because by the time you get it done and ready and
Yeah,
recorded,
you already been doing some
Dude,
other
some
stuff.
of
yeah,
them
you're on the
so-
new shit.
Hello,
you know?
I wrote 5 years ago.
It's crazy.
I'm
Yeah.
so ready to
And then
know.
PAB,
Move on.
literally, Ryan and Caleb fucking performed that song in 2019 under a different title.
Yeah, PAB. Yeah,
Yeah.
PAB was old.
Like
old.
Ryan was playing guitar.
It was 2021, but yeah,
Oh yeah,
after COVID.
yeah,
Yeah.
after
Or I guess,
COVID.
well, I wasn't-
2022. I don't know. Whatever.
I feel like it was before COVID.
way before the band started.
yeah,
that's-
way before the
2020.
band started.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember hearing that song, and that song is part of the reason why I joined the band. Like I remember hearing them go off and seeing Ryan like rocking the fuck out on guitar, and I'm like, shit.
That
Why didn't
should
he
be
ask me to do
me.
that? Yeah. And then like years later, Ryan's like, I'm starting a band with Caleb or whatever, and I'm like, shit, this is it.
Here
And
we
now
go.
that's like our biggest song out
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So those were your 2 favorite
Yeah.
live and
Sheesh. I don't wanna be the same as them, but I also am gonna say Goodbye. It's probably my favorite to play live,
Yeah.
just from a drumming standpoint. Not only drumming, but also like just as a song. I think that's my favorite. Playing that song live, it's like I do a lot of stuff that's not particularly on the record, and I think it breathes a lot of life into like the performance and like the experience of listening to it live. That it's just one of the more adventurous like songs rhythmically and sonically. So that one is probably my favorite for sure. That one or Step Back, honestly, both of those kind of have it tied up.
cool.
Right now.
Dude, they're all my babies. It's so hard for me because like I wrote all the lyrics for them, so they all have different meanings and stuff.
Even one that just means something special to you.
Yeah. So I'll go against because I love those two songs. I love like the meaning behind it and stuff are very deep for me. But I'll do Machine Man for me.
Yeah.
Just the meaning behind that song. That's literally the reason like I wrote this whole album and everything. And I was just working like crazy, like working in the kitchen and stuff. And I've only shared this on stage, so I'll give the full story on here. I would work in the kitchen. I'd get there at like 5 in the morning and work 10, 11 hours all day, and then I would go home and go to sleep and wake up and do the same thing on repeat. And I worked with a bunch of Hispanic ladies, and like in that culture, they give you nicknames or whatever for certain reasons. And one of my nicknames was Machines because I worked on the machines in the kitchen, and I would just sit there all day, every single day, and just sweat. And then I would have my headphones in, but I would like it just got like really depressing at a point. I'm literally just picking up, putting down stuff and I just felt like a machine. And so I wrote those lyrics. Days and weeks go by, blended all in one, frozen in time, used and never done. And it just felt like everybody was passing me by at that point. And I'm just watching everybody do things while I'm just sitting in the back. And at the same time, it felt like I was like frozen, stuck in this like little spot, and I couldn't get out. And so that was kind of like the meaning and why I was like, this is a great concept for an album, Machine Man. And I felt like I was part of that machine, And
I
like,
also love the imagery of Machine Man, but side note, Machine Man was the song that took the longest to record, right?
No, it was Headstrong.
Yeah, that's right.
yeah.
Machine Man's the one that is probably my least favorite.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
when you strip that song back, I think that's where the real beauty of that song is. Like when it's just vocals and acoustic. Like when I do a performance like that, which we haven't done live, but I want to. Like the message of that song really comes across. But I mean, yeah, every single song has a different meaning for me. It's all.
Yeah, as a band, and like I don't know, I'm assuming, are you the like chief songwriter on most of the stuff, like lyrically
For this
and
album,
everything?
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so do you guys find yourself as a rock band like putting more into the lyrical aspect or the straight up like musical, like instrumental aspect? Like,
Probably the latter.
I mean, that's Caleb's question, because like that comes down to you, because you're the only one doing the lyrics. Do you focus more on the music or the lyrics?
I think it all matters, but to me, the melody matters the most, and then lyrics come after that.
The memorability of it.
Yeah, my mindset is like in 1,000 years, like if English isn't even a language, but like you find the music, you're gonna remember the melody, but you don't even know. Like,
Especially music was born off melody.
yeah,
Like
so
that lyrics
melodies-
weren't a thing
yeah.
for a while.
melody's the most important thing to me, but lyrics are also very important,
Right.
and that
Yeah.
creates like the atmosphere of it all and stuff.
The melody gets you there and gets you stuck on it. The lyrics are what makes it relate.
Because there's a lot of great lyrics on the album too, like really introspective and like societally like driven. Like Step Back is one of my favorites because it talks about like stepping back from your phone and just kind of like experiencing the world in a way that isn't so digitally like susceptible. And I don't know.
What'd you say?
That was the kind of I don't know if y'all got that from Step Back, but
Yeah.
that was kind of like the point. It's like we're going to this VR world, and like I started seeing all this, and I'm like,
Spot on with Machine Man.
yeah, I was like, geez, dude, like, is this how life's gonna be? We're just all gonna be like wrapped in this like fake world, And that's like that breakdown part. I'm like, take a look around. You're living in a lie. It's like, dude, take the fucking goggles off. Like, look up at the stars and enjoy like the
Just-
beauty of the world and stuff.
The imagery of the album, like, because Caleb was like the main creative idea behind like the story and everything, has just been so much fun. Because it's like the paintings for the album work as one, like literally it feels really good. At first I was iffy because I'm like, I don't really see too many bands doing this anymore.
My mom painted those, by the way. Shout out to my mom.
Shout
Shout
out.
out,
Yeah.
Mom. Love you.
Shout
We'll go
out
on tour with you.
Erica.
But even coming down to this like dystopian story, and it's like the music doesn't feel very dystopian. If I showed you like a picture of like, just machine world or whatever, you'd be thinking of industrial, maybe some like dark gothic kind of stuff. And we're just punk. And I think that's like part of the message is that surrounded by machines trying to fight back with like humanity.
Yeah.
And adding on to that point, I think the vibe of our album really breathes life into people who feel like machines right now. Who feel the same way, working a 9 to 5, working every single day, doing whatever they don't want to do with their time, you know.
And we're all like going through that shit because we're trying to be in a band and still sustain ourselves, and it's like it's fucking hard.
Yeah.
It is, man.
Yeah. That was kind of like the idea of the album. It's like,
Yeah.
are you a machine? You know, and technically, like, if you kind of look at it in that way, we're machines, and like, you know, and where we work at, and like all that kind of stuff. And so,
Yeah, like
kind of like breaking that mold.
success is basically like, I mean, to a public view, success is 2 kids, white picket fence, 2 stories, a dog.
Yeah.
And that's what success
Bucky,
is.
give me my yacht.
Literally,
My
it's like,
fucking yacht.
man, I want success to be whatever the fuck I want it to be. If it's a yacht, it's a yacht.
We talk about that a lot. Is what is the definition of success? So like Kurt would always say, like when he was young, he was like, if I can do music full time, that's success.
Yeah.
Now he's playing fucking stadiums. You know, so
Right,
what's the
yeah.
next level of that? You
I like
know?
was thinking about this literally like this last week in terms of just making a mark,
Yeah.
because it's like that's been my thing before. It's like I want to be remembered for something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it comes down to more than that, even with like friends at this point where I'm like, I don't need to be anything more than a good memory, like literally. And if that means that my music will be played at parties and will be played with friends driving through a city at like 2 a.m., that does it for me.
Yeah.
Like that, just knowing that like my music will be like living on through other people's good memories is
Yeah.
phenomenal.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the powers of music is that, you know, stuff comes and goes, but that means it's timeless, right?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
If,
Yeah.
if something goes in and out, that means that it came back and it's timeless.
Yeah,
right?
people are gonna listen to fucking Nirvana forever, and people
Yeah.
are gonna listen to classical music forever.
Yes.
People will still go back just for a purely like educational purpose and listen to the first like songs of humanity.
Mm-hmm.
But we still do it because it's our legacy and it's our
Yeah.
history.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
What I hate to put y'all on the spot, but like, what song spoke to y'all the most since y'all listened to it?
Ooh, tables turn.
Yeah, not to
Yeah.
put
Oh,
y'all on the
no,
spot.
yeah.
I know y'all.
I mean,
Our
honestly,
podcast now.
PAV like slapped me in the face when I first heard it.
Sick.
So I've got
That's
to live
fair.
with that
Yeah.
a lot longer than I've of course just listened probably 2 or 3 times through to the
Yeah.
new stuff. What I will say about the new stuff is I love the depth of going back and forth because your sound was heavy and it is still heavy, but there's definitely depth and like moments where it's not quite as in your face.
Right.
I haven't seen you guys live right now, but I
Yeah.
will have by the time this is published.
Post game interview.
I'm
It's
super
gonna be
stoked
crazy.
to see you guys live, specifically after hearing the new music.
Yeah.
To watch the journey. One of my favorite things, and some of the stuff I say is like an album, right? Is you can take people on a journey with it.
Yep.
Right? A song can do that. And if you can do a journey in a song, it's going to be a fucking great song. Right? Like for me, like a song like Elephant by Jason Isbell, there's a journey in that song. There's happiness and sadness, right? If you have that happen sometimes in a song, it's super powerful, right? But me being a kid that grew up on grunge rock and loved like saw Incubus when I was 18
That's fire.
and just
I
hearing
bet that was fun.
dude, it was great.
I bet you enjoyed that. a lot.
Yes, I did. Yeah. But hearing this thing start to bubble back up fucking feeds my heart, bro.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Like that sound is what made me fall in love with rock and roll.
Yeah.
And now it's starting to come back.
Cool.
So thank you guys for bringing that back.
Yeah, of
We'll give it to
course.
Sam.
I was just gonna say same as you.
Yeah.
Like that one really did. It caught my attention. Like
What's a
it-
statement piece?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It is our most popular one right now, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
And
Whole album's great.
And the most
It is
simple
fantastic.
one as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
It's like such a simple
it's
song.
all,
Yeah.
and that's always how it's gonna be. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's beauty in simplicity.
Yeah, for
Sometimes
sure.
there's beauty in crazy, like lyrical stuff. Sometimes there's beauty in crazy guitar work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and it's different for everyone. But I love that the record kind of can take you on a little bit of a journey of exploring more than just what I in my head had an idea of the sound was from like 2 or 3 songs. you
Yeah.
know?
Oh,
Nice.
that's
So-
cool. I'm
so
glad
now-
that it like you were expecting one thing and then
Yeah.
okay, cool.
Which is sick.
The diversity in it, like that was like the most beautiful thing about it for real. Like, like you can't put it in a box. you know?
Yeah,
It's
for sure.
everything's different in it.
I
what we
think
like
that's
to
one of the
hear.
most nervous, or one of the things I'm most nervous about is like releasing this record because it's like I don't know if people are expecting the heavy stuff, but like I want them to hear like our lighter side, you know, and more intimate.
At
Easing
this
into
stage
it.
in your career, the people don't know enough to know what your thing is, right?
Right.
So you
Yeah,
have
yeah.
a great opportunity to show them what you're going to be,
Right.
and that doesn't mean that's where you are for the next record, even.
For sure,
right?
yeah.
Like,
Our next record is gonna. I'm really excited for the next record.
it can drastically change between records, and some of the greats have done that.
Yeah.
Fuck
Yeah.
it. Drum machines.
Yeah.
Snaptracks.
No, but it's that's one of the things that takes a band from being good to great too.
Yeah.
Is that you're sonically developing as you go, right?
Yep.
And you're using the same influences or maybe some new ones sprinkled in, but taking that. And then in terms of production, are you working with the same producer for the whole project, or
We will be for the
Awesome.
next project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so that's sick. So he did this whole record as well.
Yep. Mhm.
Awesome.
Besides the last song, Sorrow or Little Boy Dream, me and Brian did that. And I think y'all heard a different version. We just did a new version last night before we sent it out.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's a little bit. It's not just like an acoustic thing. So
Okay.
yeah, it's a lot more dynamic and stuff.
That's super cool.
Yeah, I updated it too, so y'all should be able to listen to it.
Okay,
So,
right
yeah,
on.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kurt and I, we did a pod yesterday, me and Kurt, and we smoked a cigar on my back porch. Well, roof, I guess, but it's a
Whatever.
roof. It used to be a porch, kind of, but
Yeah.
and listened to the project. And he is a big rock fan too, so it was super cool.
Cool. Hell
yeah.
yeah.
man.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
absolutely.
You said who?
Kurt, that's
Kurt.
Not
my
Cobain.
normal-
We were
not
talking about
Cobain.
Kurt
Yeah,
Cobain.
yeah, yeah,
I
Yeah,
think
Kurt
they-
Cobain, he's still alive. He's my podcast co-host.
Him and Tupac
down
smoke
in
cigars
Middle-earth
with
the
Nick,
entire
yeah.
No, but Kurt's so my podcast I usually have Kurt as a co-host.
Gotcha,
But since
okay.
this is like a crossover with the Rowdy Alternative, we have Sam as the.
Yeah, cool.
And I
Okay.
usually can't have Sam around because he doesn't live here yet. We're,
Yeah, I
we're trying to
know.
fix
Yet.
it.
Don't work on that.
I just keep speaking it into existence.
Yeah. It'll be
That's all it
nice.
takes.
Yeah. But sonically, super freaking cool. And then I'm so excited about tonight. Like, and Matt is too. Matt is our loud New Yorker, so we have a ton of loud people in our crew. But he's so excited about you guys being.
Oh,
in town.
sick.
Fuck
Hell
yeah.
yeah.
Well,
excited
so
too.
we actually haven't decided on the set list. Is there any songs you're wanting to specifically hear tonight?
I mean, definitely PAB for sure.
And all the ones you
We're
guys
not
said
doing
you love
PAB.
playing
Yeah.
live, probably.
Yeah.
PAB goodbye.
It will definitely.
Do you
Step
want a
back.
slower song? Because we were thinking of going
Yeah,
full
do
on
it.
heavy. Or
Well, you could do either way. What I will say is one of the blessings of Nashville is there will be people there paying attention. So whatever you guys think is the best showcase of what you do
Okay.
and what the crowds that you're getting to see in your scene interact with, play that.
all right, cool.
That's what I would say. Whatever y'all are like, this is our fucking thing. Because having a statement of what you are is as much a part of a 5-song set as
Right.
anything, you know?
5 songs is like tiny too.
I
So we're
know.
trying
Is
to,
Is
like,
that all
which
we have
one?
tonight? 5?
5 songs. Yeah.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can play them as long as you want, but
Yeah, right.
Okay.
but
This next one is called "The Story of Atlantis," Part 1 of 3. Act 1.
yeah.
We'll merge a couple songs together. This is PAB Goodbye Hello. it's a one song thing.
The reason we did 5 songs, so there was like a lot of showcases do different. Some are 3, some have done 4.
Yeah.
But if you were the first of 3 on a country stage, you get 5 songs. It's 15 minutes, right? Now rock songs are not that same, right?
Yeah.
A lot of country songs are 3 minutes or 3 minutes or 15 seconds, but we're like, this is your trial run if you were brought out on tour with someone and you only have a short set. Fucking hammer down, let's go.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a show to put on.
Yeah. So, and then you also, by having that many songs, you get more bands on, which I know in the rock scene, you'll have fucking 20 bands on in a night.
Right.
Yeah.
But everybody, you have everybody, you might have came to the show being an Austin Upchurch fan, and you see you guys and are like, fuck, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we hope happens at these showcases, is you might come, one of your buddies is playing guitar for one of the bands, but then you hear something and love it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So, and 5 songs is a sprint, you know?
Yeah. It's gonna feel
All
like
killer.
nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can take someone on a journey with that too.
For sure.
You know, if you have 3 songs, it's just the 3 hammers you have,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Whereas like 5, it's like, yeah, we're going to slow it down for 1 and tell a little bit of the story of something, you know what I mean? Or you can do that in a 5-song set.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but thank y'all for coming in. I know
Yeah.
we've been chatting for a while.
Yeah, of course, man. Hopefully we didn't like do it too long. How long of the podcast do y'all?
Oh, no,
usually
it was
do?
great.
Is
That
it-
was
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
Is there,
Any shows you guys have coming up that you're stoked about, or how can people follow you on the internet?
Frigga Five everywhere on Instagram, Spotify, and everything. We don't have any locked in shows that we have right now.
Well, hopefully we can get a booking agent for you.
Let's change that.
Yeah.
Nashville, come on.
We're only doing stadiums right now.
Maybe we can open that. Who knows? Yeah. No, but it's like I said, man. For me, as a music fan, it's a super big blessing to get to hear shit that I think is cool and talk you guys into coming in and playing it for us.
dude.
Yeah, dude.
So,
yeah.
we
Thanks for
appreciate
reaching
it.
out, man.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
man.
I'm really happy to be doing this. and
We're
stuff. We're
we're
excited.
thankful to be
Yeah,
in a
thanks for
position
coming.
where we
Of
can.
course.
Of course, y'all.
Yeah.
Of course, dude.
Well, guys, I'm Nicky T. That's
I'm
Sam.
Kurt Ozon. I'm just kidding. I'm Sam Burgh.
Yeah, and we'll see you in the front row.